I'm going to put a disclaimer before I say anything, and that is I am not telling anybody to use pirated material or ROMs or hacks. This is a discussion about right and wrong. To me, I understand why there is copyright laws. They should exist for certain reasons, but here's the thing. Once the item in question that is copyright protected hits a certain age in a certain situation, the situation being that the company that originally makes it does not make it anymore and is no longer profiting off of it, it should no longer be copyright protected. Plain and simple. What's a good game? Radiant Silvergun for the Saturn. Sega and whoever made that game, if it wasn't Sega, and the companies that sold that game should not have a problem with somebody making bootlegs or ripping ROMs. Why? Because they stopped making it. There's no way to get it anymore except for the illegal channels that shouldn't be illegal. And that's not okay. Just for simple math, let's say they made 100 copies of that game 15 years ago. And they don't make them anymore, haven't made them for 10 years. Only 100 people can get their hands on that game. It's not okay to say there are ways to get this material, but you can't have it because we don't make it and we're not gonna make it. So you just have to wait until somebody that owns it dies or decides to sell it. It's not okay. That's completely unethical, if you ask me, to do that to people. Now, I understand God of War on the PlayStation 4 right now. They are still making that game. It should be illegal to hack that game. It should be illegal to sell that game bootleg. But if there's no way to get your hands on that game, now I'm not talking about they sold out and they'll have more in next week. I mean, they are not making it anymore and they're not going to make it anymore, and there's no earthly other way to acquire that game. There should be no copyright infringement at that point. The copyright should no longer apply. There should be a statute of limitations. I don't even care if you make it like stupid long, like 10 years after it goes out of print, it's okay to bootleg it. 10 years after it goes out of print, it's okay to rip the ROM. I don't see why that's a problem. You are literally not doing anything against what that copyright was created for originally. Copyright was originally created so that the companies didn't go bankrupt or not get paid for their intellectual property. Well, once it hits a pawn shop, that company is no longer profiting off of the sale of that item. And when you look at the market right now, yeah, I would love to have actual copies of Panzer Dragoon, all of them. The actual legit copies with the box, with the case. But you can't do it without having somebody garnish your turds. What's the reasoning for that being illegal? And I'll tell you, there is no reason. It's just one more law in our system that needs to be addressed that won't get addressed unless somebody with enough money and influence stands up and speaks out against it. I can't actually see Nintendo getting... Actually, I take that back. I can see Nintendo getting upset. I love Nintendo, but let's face it, they're greedy bastards when it comes to their intellectual property for no reason. Other than they might re-release it on something else at some point. But at what point does that happen? And fine, Nintendo can be that way, but there's a ton of third-party publishers that no longer have licenses with Nintendo that you could... There's no reason for that rule to apply. Not only that, how many games have had their companies go bankrupt and nobody picks it up? Nobody actually owns that intellectual property, but somehow it's still illegal to violate the copyright. Even though that goes beyond where a statute of limitations would actually come into play. It's a plain and simple fact that whose intellectual property right are you infringing on when you, like, I think LJN, whoever made the Bill and Ted's game, they don't care if you take those ROMs. I think they'd be happy that somebody wanted that ROM. That game sucked. But there's probably somebody somewhere who likes it. But anyway, I've ranted long enough. I think this is a completely relevant thing that needs to be brought up at some point. I think it's complete and utter crap that it hasn't. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. Like I said, I'm not promoting anybody go out and do anything illegal. In fact, I would suggest don't. Anything you do, I'm not responsible for. But there's my disclaimer. There's my opinion and thought on this. At some point, maybe somebody will change something. Hopefully, with any luck. But until then, we just gotta deal with these people being assholes for no reason. And that's the thing that really just sticks with me. No reason. If you're going to be an asshole, that's fine. Be a funny asshole. Everybody loves a funny asshole. But just being a greedy one, that pisses people off and rubs them the wrong way. And it rightly should. By the way, vote. It's your civic duty. That's going on today. I don't care who you vote for. This isn't a political message in the other parts of this, but you need to vote. Anyway, have a good one.